Testing. Good morning and welcome to Willinga Park 2025 Dressage by the Sea. We have our first competitor circling the arena, and I'm going to hand over to Dr. Jill Rickard to announce the judges around this beautiful arena for the first competition to get underway today.
And good morning, everybody. Welcome to Willinga, and welcome to Jayden Brown riding Chemistry, our first horse in the Shepherd's sponsored Intermediate 2. And for our live stream viewers, we have Chemistry, ridden by Jayden Brown, as our first competitor. He's come in a little bit early, which is quite not so helpful for those of us at the other end. For Jayden, this is his first time competing on this horse. We'll know he'll do a good job. But the horse is normally ridden these days by Kate Kiros.
And prior to that was the ride of John Thompson.
So a bit conservative on the first extended trot.
So this is the first class of the show. The Intermediate 2 is quite often regarded as a warm-up test for the Grand Prix. Some riders choose to have a little start and get the horse familiar with the arena, and other riders will choose just to start their horse in the Grand Prix.
So he did a fairly balanced and nice crossing in his half passes, and we've come towards the passage and into the piaffe, which is allowed to travel, but probably that's a little bit too much travelling and not quite regular behind in the steps. Comes around again. This is passage across the short side, starting to develop into the piaffe, but again you can just see some snatching in the hind legs. Those are the things that bring the mark down a little bit. We're always looking for regularity in every pace that we do. Nicely into extended walk. It's got good, very good over track, and it looks like it is having a little bit of a look around, but for me that's pretty nice extended walk.
Looking for the relaxation.
Straight away into canter at C, and then off into extended canter across the diagonal, or medium canter across the diagonal with a flying change at X. And then we go half pass to the left from P to X, so quite steep. They come up the centre line a little ways up to I and do a pirouette to the left. It's actually quite a nice movement to ride that. It's got nice preparation. And that's a well-centred pirouette with a good rhythm. It could be a little bit more self-carriage. This is meant to be extended canter, so I think there is a difference between that and the previous extended medium canter, but you'd like more freedom, more stretch from the front legs to cover more ground. And then we repeat half pass from K to X, V to X, no, K to X, sorry. No, actually it was V to X. So I think he went a little early. Pirouette again at eye.
And probably I would have had a higher mark for the first one.
Yeah, yeah.
So the test is designed to show movements on both the left and the right rein. We can't tell you at this stage how they're on your screen. The scores down in the corner.
So running along at 69%, which is a nice score. Two times changes. One times changes, sorry. Must have missed the twos.
So when Jill is giving her commentary and saying what she sees, it's for the ultimate mark, for the 10. So as judges, they're hopefully starting with a score of 10 in their mind, and then they're either deducting marks for the little inconsistencies that they may see. But this is a very polished test to start our competition from Jayden, which is a new combination together, the two of them. Obviously, both the horse and the rider are very experienced, but newly together.
Yeah, he would have to be very pleased with this. He hasn't made any glaring, not even glaring, even little mistakes. It's, if he was going to work on anything, it would be more suppleness and regularity between the passage and the piaffe. But otherwise, a very nice test.
So our first competition is actually sponsored by Shepherd's Electrical. Shepherd's Electrical is the company that has done all of the electrical work here at Willinga Park, so we thank them for their sponsorship.
And before our next competitor enters the arena, I'd like to welcome the judges for this class, the Intermediate 2, sponsored by Shepherd's Electrical. Sitting at E, we have Robin Targa. At C, Ricky McMillan. And at M, Maria Schwenneson. And we thank them for their expertise and willingness to put down the big scores. Our second competitor is Sheridan Ashwood, riding Ashwood's Chocolate Fondue. So Sheridan Ashwood and Chocolate Fondue. Chocolate Fondue is by Ferrero Chocolate Box out of Brindabella. It's a fairly... Sheridan's done all the work with this horse, bred the horse, and has brought him up through the levels.
And also rode the father, Chocolate Box.
Yes, exactly.
And another Grand Prix horse, so quite a successful family, and obviously Sheridan knows these horses very well, riding the father. And this is a fairly young horse. Dates here, but I know that he's relatively new to this level, maybe first or second season.
So he's not convincing in his piaffe. He's not super sure about that. There's quite a good rhythm in the passage, but as we always want a bit more, so we could have a little bit more lift in the passage. And here in the piaffe, so he wants to have a little lower. He wants to lower, which is good, but he just can't maintain it without travelling a lot forward. And they are allowed to travel forward in this test, but he's still looking for the higher quality.
And I suppose as a rider, some riders will, as being a young horse, they make the decision to, I suppose, nurse the horse through those movements. Those high collection can create a certain amount of positive tension, and the rider will make the decision to, take the horse gently through the test and gain the confidence, especially being the first test of the show. Always a good way to start getting the horse very confident in the ring.
So again, in the two walks, we're always looking for regularity, and she had a little trouble in the collected walk.
And I think at the beginning of that diagonal line, it looked a little half-passy to me, so maybe
yes,
he got a little muddled. But Sheridan quickly put him back on the line, and away she went.
Now the half pass from the second marker. So when you're sitting as we are from the front here,
we keep asking ourselves which marker did they go from?
Which marker? It's a little blurred, and the same for the judges, of course, but the judge sitting at E gets a better view.
And that's the reason for having the judges spaced around the arena, for those of you who are wondering why judges sit at different markers. They're sitting there so that they get a view of the whole arena, and between all of them they get a pretty good picture of what's going on in the ring.
So straightness has been sort of a problem for her in various parts of this test, and the horse is actually quite a bendy little person, and he likes bending, but he does use that to not be straight when he needs to be. And here in the 2 times changes, we had one short behind at the beginning and some swinging. Quite good canter though. And so quality of the canter and the quality of the flying change is part of what you're judging, as well as a correct change. Here in the 1 times, he's a little bit down, or as we like to say, needs to be more uphill.
And probably could just cover the ground a little bit more in those changes, take a little bit more of a longer stride. But all horses have their own interpretations, and 1 time changes are one of those things that are, you can see horses that do them big and horses that do them tight. Each horse has their own interpretation of the movement, and but the judges definitely have in their mind what they're thinking they're wanting for a 10.
And that was Sheridan Ashwood and Ashwood's chocolate fondue. Our previous competitor, Chemistry, and Jaden Brown scored 70.441%. Our next competitor is looking ready to come in, and that is John Thompson, riding MSJ Gatsby.
So the next horse circling the arena is MSJ Gatsby. Gatsby is a 9-year-old gelding by Grey Flannel and is ridden today by John Thompson.
Sheridan Ashwood and Ashwood's chocolate fondue of a total of 65.882%, putting her into second position. MSJ Gatsby is by Grey Flannel. It's owned by Jane Farrell, and it's ready to go. Yes, so Gatsby is, again, one of these horses that's very new at this level. I think he only just started into sort of the Grand Prix level in sort of January. So he's one for us to watch and be interested in how he's performing. So in the half passes, we've got some lovely crossing. Everybody can see that. A little bit low in the pole. And so we talk all the way through, we'll always be saying words like self-carriage. And so self-carriage means that the horse looks like it's carrying itself around the arena, not the rider carrying it. And part of that description is the pole being the highest point and the head steady in the paces that it should be steady in. So it should be steady in trot and canter. In walk, it's allowed to move forward and back. See, this is a nice piaffe, very good piaffe.
And those things that we talk about, the horse being, in self-carriage, it's related to the whole horse's body. Ultimately it's the horse taking the weight on the hind legs, and then it travelling through the body, and then creating the posture for the horse to be able to carry itself in an uphill way. But it does have a very nice piaffe, doesn't it, for a new horse to Grand Prix?
Yeah, good into the passage was good across the short side, and into the piaffe was good. He lost a little bit of balance in the piaffe.
And maybe just the coming out, a little loss of balance, but you would kind of, you probably don't expect it, but you would say that, a young horse, they're the places in the test that are going to be the most difficult. The transitions in and out are going to be where the horse needs the most strength and the most carrying power and posture, and ability to sit. And so a new horse to that, if it loses a little bit of that balance, they're the little places that you're going to see those little hiccups. But we are very privileged to see the first 3 horses come through, and some beautiful riding and some beautiful horses, and we're set here at Willinga Park to have a great couple of days. So if you're thinking that you'd like to come down, there's still plenty of tickets available for you to come and spectate. Definitely worth the trip.
Another thing to mention when we talk about the half past starts at P, where do you start? Well, it's when the rider's body passes the marker or is in line with the marker. So in his case, again, a wee bit early.
Ringcraft,
yes, very helpful. But this is certainly a very accomplished test.
Tidy.
The horse is managing to do all the work. It is, in general, has a good way of going. Nice frame here in the canter work. Again, for me, a bit early again. But they are really steep, so fair enough. Give it a go. And this pirouette not so good as the first one, and a little bit large and tending a bit to jump together behind. So again, regularity of the pace. We want to see the 3-beat rhythm, which in the pirouette does change a little bit, but they shouldn't jump together with their hind legs. 2 times changes. He was making sure he got them, so that there was a little bit more rider movement than you might want, and that was affecting the horse's balance as well. He's going along nicely at about 67%. Smiling there, so I suspect that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think he got
maybe
all.
he did
got
a couple
all of
extra.
those.
Did he get extra?
Oh, I didn't count.
I'm
didn't
not
do
counting
the counting.
either. I'll leave that up to the judges. Oh, very expressive extended trot.
But just possibly losing a little bit of balance and affecting the regularity.
Yeah, but good to see him go for it, because, you have to decide sometimes whether to
Go for the big mark.
Go for the big mark, and that might not always come off. But if you're going to train your horse, you need to practice going for the big mark. Nice piaffe passage coming down the centre line towards the judge. Very straight. I think he can be justifiably pleased with that.
So John Thompson and MSJ Gatsby coming to the completion of their test.
And we welcome into the arena Heath Ryan, riding Astronomical. Astronomical is a 13-year-old warm blood gelding by quarterback, and he is owned by Mary Nitschke, and Heath has taken over the ride from Mary. And a score for John Thompson and Gatsby of 67.304%, putting him into second position.
The showman, isn't he?
Yes, it's almost a double salute.
And I'd hate to think how many horses Heath has produced a Grand Prix. There's been quite a few among eventers as well.
Yeah, that's right. There's many. I think he's probably produced more than anybody else in Australia. But, you know, don't want to make a sweeping statement. However, very, very experienced. Accomplished. And this horse actually produced a Grand Prix by Mary, the owner, also, and...
trained by Heath.
Who's been trained by Heath, of course. So, whilst the ride for Heath is relatively new, he certainly knows the horse very well. And here in the passage, again, the horse is very willing into the passage. It's just not as steady in its contact. There's a little bit of mouth opening going on. It's not sure. That transition was abrupt. Getting more settled there down the bottom end. Oh, and then a little misinterpretation of the half halt. But some fair strides in the piaffe. So sort of steady sixes, 6.5s for that sort of work. And they're all within the score because you can see there are glitches, but the horse understands the job.
It's got quite a nice posture.
Yeah, but it's not steady enough, you know, so there's lots of things, but they all go into the general score that is between 6 and 7. Collective walk needs a bit more activity, and that's evidenced there by the needing to trot into canter.
So this is the 9th annual Dressage by the Sea, so it has been going for a few years now. So if you're thinking that you might like to come for the weekend, there's still plenty of tickets available, and you are in for some great competition.
So going against the bridle in the pirouette and losing control of the quarters. the horse gives the impression of a little bit taking over and in many of the movements, or anticipating what's going to happen just a wee bit ahead of what Heath's wanting. So he always has to make a bit of a correction at the start of each movement, which is what's making the test.
It's just the flow that
The flow is lost,
affects
yeah.
the flow.
So 11 one times. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Too many.
Now that's too many, but he actually kept writing them.
Yes.
So that was interesting. So he either had a moment, you know.
Well, he had thought that he wanted 15.
Or he wanted to do 15 in preparation for tomorrow. I mean, you know, that's a choice.
I don't think you would do... Oh,
Well,
I think he's just confused.
I think he probably is, but still, you know, if he's had a week of not getting his ones, and he may have thought, oh, just keep going. Anyway, it's supposed to be 11.
He did definitely.
Yes,
right.
and we were counting, so yay for us.
But that affects the score.
Yes, so you're only required to do 11, and in actual fact, there's some guidance for judges when the rider actually makes the mistake and not the horse, because for me that was clear he kept riding. So they will deduct some marks for that. The next competitor has withdrawn, so there's a short break for those of you sitting in the stands. The next competitor is due in at 9:10. Probably not long enough to go and get a coffee, but you might want to stretch your legs. And we'll just give you Heath's score any minute. Yes, here it comes. So a score for Heath Ryan, an astronomical of 63.677%, placing him in 4th position. So a reminder, in 1st place, Jaden Brown riding chemistry on 70.441%. 2nd, John Thompson on MSJ Gatsby, 67.304%. 3rd, Sheridan Ashwood on Ashwood's Chocolate Fondue on 65.882. And in 4th, Heath Ryan on Astronomical on 63.677.
Foresight doesn't discriminate in terms of joint health. So whether you want to prevent it or whether you want to treat it, Foresight will do that for you. We want as many animals around the world to benefit from this exceptional product. So whether it's horses performing at the highest level, or the family pet, or a young dog or a young animal going through those growth phases, they can all benefit from the use of Foresight and Epitalis.
So in the Epitalis study, we found a significant lowering of PGE2 in the synovial fluid, marked radiographic changes, as well as a significant reduction in white cell counts. Using the scientific term, it's a disease-modifying osteoarthritic drug. We'd never seen it in any other study that it was that dramatic.
To learn more and find products, visit foresight.global.
Our next competitor is circling the arena in the Shepherds Intermediate 2 class, and it's Layla Williams from New South Wales riding Ampersand. Ampersand is a 13-year-old gelding by Ampere, owned by Layla, trained by Layla.
So interesting for the breeding buffs out there. This is a horse by Ampere, and I just noticed that there are 3 horses in this class that are by Ampere. So that's a pretty good statistic for a stallion that's producing Grand Prix horses.
It certainly is. Now, also, we can note that in this class, Layla's riding in a snaffle bridle. And, of course, you're allowed to do that. This is a national class, so you're allowed to do that. And as we all know, there's more and more discussion about snaffle bridles being allowed in all competition. It hasn't happened yet, but it's getting, I'd say it's probably inevitably going to happen. Ampersand is, we've watched him for a few years in here, and he can be a little unpredictable, shall we say.
I would say spicy.
Spicy, yes, that's right. But because he's spicy, of course, he has this tremendous flamboyance and energy, and you see that.
Love it.
And it's a lovely horse. But she has to control it, and so it looks to me like she's
on the right way.
She's on the right way today, although...
We won't
no,
speak
there
too
we go.
soon.
No, that was good. She managed that well.
And that's kind of the trade-off with the horse that is full of power and full of energy, is that sometimes it bubbles over. But for top sport, you definitely want a horse with energy and positivity and that flamboyance. But as young horses, sometimes they can take a little longer.
And it's been quite... You couldn't help but enjoy that passage in piaffe, even though we can see some loss of rhythm and so on. It's what you want to see. You just like it to be more maintained throughout. So it's been quite well rewarded. But here in the walk, not enough let go in the extended walk, and okay in the collected walk, but it is still a bit mouthy, and of course it's walking past the judges, so they get a chance to comment on that, and if they comment, they have to go down a mark or half a mark when you see tension in the mouth. And there have recently been some much clearer directives to the judges in an effort to improve horse welfare. And the mouth is always one of those areas that comes into criticism if it's looking anxious, gaping, tongues out, then they must see it and mark it down.
And so that pirouette probably a little bit to the left of the centre line, so not centred around the centre line, so very obvious to the judge sitting there at C, but so obviously that affects the mark. The actual placement of the pirouette and the placement on the lines of the movements, that is something that judges are looking for, as well as all the other things.
Yeah, and again, big and but good cantering within it. So here in the 2 times, see that it's not really fluent. It's managing to do the changes, but he goes against the bridle, especially from right to left.
A mistake at the beginning there. Sometimes that's quite a difficult line because the horse comes around the corner, and because you're not doing 15 ones, you're only doing 11, you have to wait a little bit longer, and sometimes when the horse starts and then you hesitate, it does give you that mistake at the beginning. So really requiring the horse to be completely on the aids and waiting for the rider. But I have to say, he does get better and better. You know, we've watched him for a few years, and a horse with a lot of energy, he is improving.
Yes, she's certainly
Doing a good job.
Doing a good job controlling that energy.
Or focusing it, or channeling it, or whichever way
Yeah,
you'd like
and
to think of it.
That's right, and letting the horse get comfortable doing the work in the competition environment. You know, probably at home he's not wound up at all, and he probably does I'm sure he does a lot of very impressive work. But when you put the two things together, and there isn't time to do a 20-metre circle in the middle, in preparation for everything, then that's when it
They
gets...
sometimes give you a different answer.
Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, it's certainly a nice horse. It looks like it's scoring around about 63%, which will move her, probably just keep her into 5th place, but we'll be definite about that in a minute. And we actually have another break coming up. So... and a score for Layla Williams and ampersand of 63.137%, which puts her into 5th place currently. We now have a break of 24 minutes with the next horse, Royalty R, due in at 9:42. So definitely time to go and get a coffee. Yay! Or take a walk around the lovely gardens and admire a Willinga Park.
Or visit the trade stalls.
Yes, we've got to talk about the trade stalls. But right now, I can see you're all heading for a coffee. Oh, yeah.
Shepherd are proudly powering Willinga Park through holistic electrical solutions. Our experienced team are here to assist with all facets of your electrical needs and can design, build, commission and maintain your electrical assets. From low voltage, high voltage, critical supplies and even off-grid installations, we ensure that when you need reliable power, you can rely on Shepherds. Let's get connected.
The hospital at Willinga Park is a state-of-the-art building, not only when it comes to facilities and the equipment inside, but I think also from an aesthetic point of view. We've been very fortunate that with Terry's backing, we've been able to build this absolutely amazing facility. This hospital is built as a referral hospital. What we're hoping to do is cater for all cases, if it is critical care, out of hours, where we can sort of provide the best possible care and service for those horses. Obviously, Willinga Park offers some amazing facilities for the different horse disciplines. And I think through the years we realized that to complete the circle we needed a hospital facility as well, so we could cater and make sure that we had all bases covered. I think we're in a part of the world where there is a need for a referral hospital. Often when horses have problems, time is of the essence, so we're filling a real niche here by providing that service. We have got a number of clients coming as far as the north of Rockhampton or from the south of Victoria, so it's a very varied group of clients that will be able to offer that service. One of the things we're very excited about is the arrival of our MRI machine. It's not a standing MRI machine, which a number of places in Australia already have. This is a G-scan, which is a very large and advanced MRI system, which will allow us to do some very extensive imaging, not only from the foot and the lower limbs, but also including the stifle in the hind limbs, including the elbow in the forelimb. And it will also allow us to take imaging of the head and the neck. Another thing we're super excited about is our IVF lab. In the last few years, we've spent a lot of time perfecting our ability to be able to produce embryos in the lab. We're now at a stage where we can do this commercially with a lot of confidence. We can not only harvest the eggs, but we've got the lab at Willinga where we can then mature the eggs to a stage where we can inject them with a single stallion sperm and then put them in the incubators and grow them out to viable embryos. We can do a direct transfer, or we can also freeze them, and we've spent a lot of time perfecting all those different steps. It's a very complex thing to iron out, but feel very confident now that we can offer this to any horse breeder in Australia. Now the hospital is sort of nearing completion. I think we feel we're in a very good position to provide equine excellence to all horse breeders and all horses.
Except I don't see a thing. Occasionally I go, and that's it. But yeah, it's good. It's good. It could warm up a little bit now, a little bit, not too hot. The breeze has picked up. Oh yeah, no, this is like that.
to Dressage by the Sea for 2025. You're here with us watching the Shepherd's Electrical Intermediate 2 class. The horse circling the arena is Royalty R, ridden by Serena Island. Royalty R is a 12-year-old gelding.
Vibes. Look at the outside hind leg, see that it doesn't step out or step across. Look at the bend of the horse. Look at the frame of the horse. So there's lots to look at, and you've got to make a quick judgment when you're judging it. not so fluent in the right half pass, in my opinion, versus the left. Really good job in this, in the 2 times, 7 of them. She placed the 4th one right over X, which is your goal in planning the test. And they were straight and they were forward, so they should score very well. Did she do good counting on that? And yeah, some of the judges thought 7.5. I would have given the 2s a 1, an 8, without any problem. And as I said before, very expressive in its extended trot. So she's ticking along now nicely above 66. I think she, again, the horse is confident in the level. So although she might be new to the older, shall we say, the older age group. Right, at this level, yep. But yes, she is pleased. She looks pleased. And I think she should be pleased.
So we have a final score for Serena Island and Royalty R. We have a score at E 67.500, at C 66.176, at M 66.175, for a total of 66.617, placing her currently in 3rd position.
Our next competitor in the Intermediate 2 class is Susan Elakessi, riding Callum Park, Geneva. And Geneva is a mare, and she's by Argentile Grenadier. She is aged 13 years. Bred, of course, by Susan, who's bred a lot of dressage horses under the banner of Callum Park.
Those of you tuning in at home, you have joined us for the second half of the intermediate to Shepherd's electrical class here at Dressage by the Sea 2025. This is the 9th year of this competition running. So we welcome you all here to the live streaming.
Currently in first place we have Jaden Brown riding chemistry. He's sitting on a nice score of 70.4%. And we'll now see if Susan can give that a bit of a shake-up. So the half passes in the inter two, half pass, they're 5 metres either side of the centre line. We're always looking for uniform bend in the direction that you're travelling, looking for crossing, looking for the same quality trot all the way through, self-carriage of the horse, and just general suppleness, ease changing from one direction to the other. This is passage, not quite established before the piaffe.
So unlike the Grand Prix test, these transitions are a little bit more progressive. They're between the markers. They give the horse more of a gentle introduction into the movement. Obviously, the more clear they are with those transitions and with the number of steps, the higher the mark will be. Like Jill said before, you don't really want the judges trying to guess where you started something and where you finished. So they're looking for the regularity of the walk, the freedom, the relaxation, and the strides. The overtrack. Lot to look for.
So here we're now, and then you come into extended walk, collected walk, and Geneva showing some tension in that, which is commonly happens, but of course you can't score a high mark for it, and when you show tension, that affects the regularity.
Because they're looking for that, they're anticipating that next movement, aren't they?
Yeah, and you are trying to coil them up, ready to go. So, but, you know, it's one of the things that you have to practice. Interestingly enough, for a lot of, you notice it, the horses are coiled up, ready to go, but then the first movement, which is medium canter, flying change medium canter, often it's slightly underridden because you're concerned about the change, but it's put there to have the opportunity to let the horse go forward or make the horse go forward, so it stays in front of your aid. So I think that's a rider choice, obviously, but sometimes a mistake to not actually gun it a bit across there. For me, that's not enough for extended canter. It's more going up and down than covering the ground.
Because that's really what they're looking for, the ability to extend and the ability to compress and the transitions in between.
Yes, you should take less strides across the diagonal in extended canter, not look like you're taking more.
And go faster.
Nicely in the half pass right. Fairly balanced in the pirouette.
And I really liked the way that she set up for that. It was a good, she took her time, she and place the pirouette where she wanted to place it. And one mistake in the middle there too.
Yeah, so 2 mistakes. So that's costly. It's down to a 4.
And that was unfortunate. But, like we said before, you have to take the risk for the high marks, and sometimes it comes off, and other times maybe not. Susan trending on about 61.234 currently.
Good square halt to finish. Yeah, so she had those 2, the extended trot, the break in the extended trot and the mistake in the ones, which are sort of very clear marks of 4.
Becomes expensive.
Becomes very expensive, 3 judges, so that's pulled her mark down. Otherwise, she did some work that she'd be pretty happy with, but of course she's no doubt dwelling on those mistakes. But I think the horse again is getting more confident in what it's doing and in this arena. This arena is not overly horse friendly, just to put it mildly. Even though today it's quiet, there's not that many people here, but
It's a bit of atmosphere.
there's quite a lot of atmosphere. We've got the waterfall, you've got the big screen. Most of them have never seen the screen. And you've got the horses warming up above them. So there's reasons to be a bit nervous when you come down, and that can get perpetuated.
We have our next horse circling the arena, Riverwood Animation and Victoria Luxford. Animation is a 11-year-old mare by Ampere. So those of you at home, I was talking before about the importance of the breeding, and this is another one by that famous stallion Ampere that seems to be producing some lovely FEI horses. 3 Amperes in this class. And I suppose if you look at the ages of these horses, a lot of them are 12 and 11 and 13. So you really probably want to know that you're breeding with genetics that are going to produce you something to the top level, if that's what you're aiming for, because it is a long journey. These horses would have been started probably when they're 3.5. And so a lot of hours of blood, sweat and tears have gone into making a horse to the top level. So you want genetics on your side, don't you?
You absolutely do. And I would say of the third Amper horse is the next one to come in, but of the first two, they are of a type as well. They're good looking,
good mechanics,
compact, active, good in the joints. They can do this. This is very, they're very capable at passage. Okay, a little bit missed into the piaffe, but that's just training. So yeah, you'd be going, okay, I'd be considering Ampere as a sire.
But in 13 years' time...
But in 13 years' time, we'll have progressed from then. So when you're looking, you have to think about what the next generation's going to be. It's probably going to be with Ampere as a grandparent, be my guess. Okay, so she's running into some trouble here in getting the piaffe to happen.
And also going towards the screen. So is it the screen or is it something else?
I don't know. Anyway, just ride on. So all you can do is ride on out of it, get past it. Come on, trot on. Nope, she's retiring. Oh, that's a shame. I would like to have thought that if she just said, travel on in any direction, she could have gone into walk and maybe got to go. But, well, she knows the horse, so that's a shame for her. So that will mean that the next horse is have a couple more minutes to come. And if our live stream home viewers have got any questions or commentary that you'd like to make to us,
send them through.
Send them to us.
I think we have a score too. We have a score
Well,
update.
we do have a score for our previous competitor,
Susan Elikasi.
which was 61.520%, leaving Jaden still in front on riding chemistry on 70.441. All the live streaming for the 4 days will be of what's going on in the indoor arena. So you're going to have to follow at home, no doubt on Equip, the scores of what's going on in the other arenas.
And we've also got some lovely trade stands here this weekend if you're wanting to come down and do a little bit of shopping. We've got some trade stands. We've got the bunker open for food. We've got the beautiful gardens here at Willinga Park, so definitely worth a visit. The major sponsor for this event is Foresight, and Foresight is a joint supplement for horses, dogs and people, and I know that it definitely does work because after coming here last year I put myself on some of the Epi joint and I can tell you that I'm riding like a rock star now.
Well, you always did. But I agree. I take Epi joint and my dog has Foresight. My horses have Foresight.
I don't think you can get a better joint supplement.
I think that's right. And they've done some really good research with it, which is something that we can all be persuaded to try things, but actual research in a product is rare in the horse world. So their research is good. It shows the effect it has on joints and on chondrocytes. And that is what we're trying to change with arthritic drugs or supplements. And I always say to people, what you should do, both yourself and the horse and the dog, is try it.
Yes,
Try it for 2 months.
Yeah, you can't try it for a week.
No, it has to be 2 months at least. And so if you do that, and then at the end of 2 months you think, do I feel any different or does my horse go any better? Then you go, okay, it's working, keep going. And on the other hand, if you don't feel like that, then go off it. And then give yourself again another little break,
And see whether
you
there's a
might
difference.
actually notice the deterioration. Or, yeah. So it's worth that. The class itself is sponsored by Shepherd's Electrical. They've done all the work here at Willinga Park. Mighty job. And they continue to do work, probably maintenance work here now, but in the original building, it was
A lot of
Shepherd's.
work.
A lot of work. So our next horse is now coming down the walkway, ready to go, and that's going to be
Bradgate
Sharon
Park
Potter.
Amadeus, and Amadeus is also by Ampere, a 13-year-old gelding. So we welcome to the arena Sharon Potter and Bradgate Park Amadeus. Amadeus is a 13-year-old gelding by Ampere. We have a change from the sheet in front of us. This is Megan Bryant and Bloomer's Simply the Best. Sorry, I was reading off my list and not looking at the horse in front of me. But must have had a scratching or a withdrawal.
Right, well, that was a bit of a surprise for us, as we were expecting Sharon, and it was Megan. But all systems go now. Megan set off well in the extended trot.
And this is a stallion by Sunny Boy, and he's a 15-year-old stallion. And I'm just trying to see whether he has it. Yeah, see on the side of him, and those of you at home that don't know what the little green number holder means, that means that it's a stallion. Sometimes they have it on the saddle blanket and sometimes they have it on the horse's bridle, but the stallions are required to wear a green tag to let people know that it's a stallion. And maybe he's feeling a bit like a stallion there.
He says, I don't feel like doing that trotting thing on the spot. Gets a little bit off the bridle with Megan. The contact gets empty. And that kind of gives you the idea that he's really not in front of her leg enough, which is why those things can happen. Extended walk. So once again, look for the overtrack. Look at the hind feet stepping over the footprints of the front feet, or not, as the case may be. You look for the stretch out of the front leg so that you have freedom in the shoulders.
So the lengthening of the frame.
Yep, and the neck and head going both forward and down. So the nose shouldn't be behind the vertical in it at any time, really, but especially in extended walk.
You have a little sigh there. You still want them to do more, don't you?
I do, and I don't like seeing a sidewards jump in the flying change. So, yeah, I feel it's a place that most of them
But on the rider's
could do.
defence, going towards the waterfall in your first canter movement and doing a flying change is probably a little bit daunting, maybe.
It could be. It could be.
I think
Yes.
I think we'll give them the benefit of the doubt that they're being conservative. But for the big marks, you do have to go for it.
This one they've got to gallop to the scoreboard.
Yeah, I mean it is a big.
It's a confronting arena.
I don't know whether it's a big ask or as a rider you actually start to think, oh, maybe they might, or maybe I think you've got to be really careful that you actually don't think maybe they might do this, and if you're really going to go for the big score and go for the, to be competitive, you've got to go, well, the horse really should be on my aids and the horse should really know its job now, and we're going to just take that risk.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not...
Easier said than done.
It's easier said than done, but
Yeah.
the thing is, you shouldn't ride for the problem, you should ride for
What you want.
What you want.
To achieve, yeah.
So she gets a 7. Basically, though, I'm riding along, I want more energy in the canter.
It's only taken me half the class to start counting the changes, so I've
Yeah.
taken a little time to warm up. I'm on my second coffee, so...
It was never my strong suit, counting.
And there's the 11 ones.
A nice attempt. Big extended trot. Lots of power in that. And here you can see a little bit of swaying in the front legs, in the passage.
And trending on about 62.358.
And so we have a score for Megan Bryant and Bloomers Simply the Best of 62.549%, which puts her into 7th place. So we have the final result for the Intermediate 2 class, and we congratulate Jaden Brown, riding chemistry, on 70.441%. In second place, John Thompson, MSJ Gatsby, on 67.304%. In third, Serena Island and Royalty R, 66.617%. In fourth place, Sheridan Ashwood on Ashwood's Chocolate Fondue, 65.882%. In fifth place, Heath Ryan and Astronomical on 63.677%. And in sixth place, Layla Williams riding Ampersand on 63.137. Congratulations to all of them, and thank you to our judges for their effort in that test. And there will be a break now until 11 a.m., 40 minutes time, where we will have, resuming with the Pre-St George CDN class, sponsored by Willinga Park Vet Hospital. So meantime, have a look at the trade stands. They're open and going. And the coffee stand is open and going, and some of the other food stands are going. And we'll see you back here at 11 a.m.